You're listening to the Paul McGUIRE Report, and I'm Paul McGUIRE. On today's program, we're going to do a video, a deep dive into what's happening in our world today. So let's get right into it. Number one is, this world, this nation, is not ruled by some kind of happen chance, chaotic assembly of organizational structures. It's not chaos. It's not an accident. This world that we live in is carefully designed, carefully structured, and carefully assembled to function in a particular manner. And the manner is, there is a hierarchy. The hierarchy can be conceived in the form of a pyramidical structure, like the pyramid on the back of the US dollar, which just happens to say, at the base of the pyramid, it says in Latin, Novus Order Seclorum, or New Order of the Ages, or New World Order. And that's the essential structure that we live in, a pyramidical hierarchy. Notice that in the typical corporate organizational flowchart, notice that they use a pyramidical structure to show you the design of power within an organization from top to bottom. And notice also that it always goes from top hierarchy to the bottom. So the top would be theoretically the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, or the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, and other variations. Sometimes there's a board of directors above that. And then as you go down, the pyramid widens, and you get people whose jobs or power or authority descends lower and lower in the flow of a pyramid. Now notice also that in terms of architecture, all pyramid-shaped buildings are called ziggurats. So classic examples of ziggurats throughout human history would be, of course, what I termed the Pharaoh God-King system, which consisted of Pharaoh rulers who were perceived by the masses as God-Kings, Pharaoh God-Kings. And in ancient Egypt, the Egyptian Empire, the pharaohs were perceived by the common people as gods, God-Kings. The people worshipped them and thought they had supernatural powers. Also, that what went along with that Pharaoh God-King structure was the fact that the Pharaoh had hundreds of magicians, clairvoyants, people who could perform miracles, prophets, and all kinds of men primarily, who everyone believed these men had supernatural powers. Now again, at the base of the pyramid on the US dollar, again, it says in Latin, Novus Order Seclorum, or New Order of the Ages, or simply New World Order. In the last 6 years, they have retitled the term New World Order. They have changed it to a Great Reset. So now the proposed world government, and one world government, one world religion, and one world economic system, has an organizational flow at the bottom where it says, or where it did say New World Order, and it still does, but among the elite, like the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and so on and so forth, they call this flow chart of planet Earth, they now call it a Great Reset. So you and I are living in a prophetic time. Remember that in the Bible it talks about the last days. And in the Bible it tells us that in the last days there will be somebody with great power, I'm paraphrasing, who rises up among the people, and this individual, this powerful individual, will change the times and the seasons and the calendar. Now think about that for a moment. The proposed plan to put together this Antichrist New World Order, and that's what it is, by the way, What goes along with it is a charismatic individual who will demand to be worshipped like God. And this charismatic world leader, the Antichrist, will be the one who is given the power to change the times, the seasons, and many other areas of calendar and chronological statements. So this new world order that they've been ramping up since, well, the New World Order, they had trials for the New World Order way back in ancient Babylon at the time of the Tower of Babel or Babel. Remember, ancient Babylon or Babel, the Tower of Babel, its central purpose was to function as a portal, allowing entrance from another dimension, allowing fallen angels or various entities to travel from one dimension into the physical earth realm dimension. And the purpose of the Tower of Babel was to be a portal. In the same way, when you look at the technology known as CERN, CERN also is designed to function as an interdimensional portal. Now think of those two things along with the calendar statement. Think of those two things and then ask yourself the question, how is it that we live in a time period where not only is mankind and the media and the average person, especially in America, they're all clamoring to the government. They're demanding that the government give them full disclosure, a full accounting of the truth regarding UFOs, ETs, extraterrestrials, spaceships, the real origins of man. Where did man really come from? And all of this is called the disclosure movement. Now, I must say that you and I, if we're smart, we really shouldn't super desire disclosure. Because when mankind gives you disclosure, it will be a fake disclosure, which will highlight the agendas that they want to promote, and it will conceal the agendas that they don't want you to really know about. In other words, they're all well and good. They're fine with giving you meaningless, powerless disclosure that won't really matter much in the totality of your life. They're totally fine with that. Give the people disclosure, or as A famous European queen once said, when the people were complaining to her, she said to the people, to the masses, "Let them eat cake." And back when this lady was queen, cake was considered the cheapest kind of non-nutritional food. Cake was like a low-end food. So her dismissive remark to the masses, "Let them eat cake," was really a put-down. Today, cake would be most often more desirable than bread. Bread back then, when this lady was queen, was more nutritious, was more substantive. Bread, you could live on bread. You couldn't really live on cake. So she clamored out to the masses, "Let them eat cake," disregarding their desire. Now, we have similar things going on in our nation. We have what is called PSYOPs, psychological operations, in which the people who really rule this world, the people who are really in control of what is termed the New World Order, they are making sure that you see everything but the truth. So they use the military science of psychological operations to distract you and to program you into believing and acting upon and going along with their real, secret, and hidden agenda, which is, it's not secret to anybody who's paying attention, but it's secret to the same masses that were dumbed down in that monarchy several hundred years ago. The masses are still dumbed down under the guise of being educated, under the guise of receiving all these degrees. The masses have never been less educated. They have no clue, the common person has no clue whatsoever that our entire governmental, social structure, scientific structure, and religious structure has been manipulated, including the educational system. So you think, as you go through the educational process, you think you are growing in your authentic knowledge and learning of history and science and so on and so forth, but in actuality, you're just being deceived. And we're going to keep diving deeper than disclosure, deeper than diversion, deeper than whatever the latest PSYOPs is. We're going to dive deeper than all of that, and we're going to come back with the most important commodity you could acquire. And you know what that is. The most important commodity that you could acquire is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Another super important commodity is truth. Jesus Christ said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." It's not forms of the truth, or counterfeits of the truth, or mistruths that sets you free. What really sets you free is when you acquire the truth. And again, Jesus Christ said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." That statement, by the way, is so important, what Jesus said to you and me. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's like so important. The reason it's important is that goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden in paradise, where a man named Adam and a woman named Eve lived in paradise, a perfect world, and they were given the authority by the Creator, capital C, to rule and reign planet Earth. All their needs were met. They were in supernatural and physical control of every challenge in their environment. There were no shortages. There was no lack. There was no loss of food. There was no danger. They had authority over all of those things. And the supreme being who gave them authority over all those things was the Creator who created all things, revealed in the book of Revelation. So, when we go all the way back to the beginning, the Garden of Eden, we see mankind had the Word of God, the truth. The truth sets you free. And along with the truth, knowledge empowers you. So they had the truth that sets you free, and they had knowledge. Both of those items, by the way, and you know this to be true, both of those items, the truth and knowledge, are very rare items in today's world. What we have in today's world is a cacophony of lies. And the reason for that is, well, God gives us a clue right in the very beginning. Satan, who is a fallen angel in rebellion from God, Satan is in rebellion from God, and he's leading a revolution in the invisible realm to overthrow God and the rulership of God. And so Satan is known as the father of lies. So the world system that we live in, which is called Mystery Babylon, and we're introduced to Mystery Babylon in numerous places in the Bible, especially in the book of Revelation, where we discover that there is a great harlot, this woman known as Mystery Babylon, the great harlot. She symbolizes the Antichrist world system. And like a whore, she's only in it for herself. So we're going to come back in just a moment and continue to reveal to you the most important thing a person could get their hands on, and that is the truth and knowledge from God. Okay? Join me, Paul McGUIRE. Visit paulmcguire.us. That's paulmcguire.us. You can support what we're doing. Just ask the Lord how he would have you help in terms of donations or contributions. And then whatever God puts on your heart, do it. And become a prayer warrior with us. Help us watch our backs against rigging and other forms of suppression of the truth by visiting paulmcguire.us.